Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Just a quick update on the progress of the underside rebuild on the van. So as you'll know from my previous videos and from the start of this one, I've been refurbishing another subframe setup because the one that was on the van was just a bit too far gone. And I've now started to bolt up various parts of the assembly. So obviously the front subframe is now bolted up. I had this on and off a couple of times once I realised that the torsion bars have to go on first. Because I initially had the subframe up and then tried to put the torsion bars on in one go, but there's just not enough space in there to get them up, so I had to drop the subframe down again, bolt up the torsion bars and then sort of hoist it up from there. The torsion bars are not tightened up at all. They're just sort of sitting there. I've cleaned up these bolts and as you can see I've nailed them in copper grease, so they're turning nice and free. Same at this side, so they're ready to be adjusted once we get some more things bolted up at the front. Now the upper ball joints are still on these arms. I'm actually just going to run these. I have ordered new ones, but I'm just going to keep a hold of them as spares for now. There's no play in these ones at all. So I'm just going to run them and see how we get on to start with. I have ordered new lower ball joints as well, so I will replace those once I get these arms on. We'll come to that in a second. I'm still waiting for the bushes for these arms. So other than that, we have the anti-roll bar is on. It's got new poly bushes and I've cleaned up the little brackets as well and just painted the anti-roll bar in red. So that's good to go. Just waiting for the drop links as well, so I can hook them up to the arms once they're on. And then there's also the steering rack, which I've cleaned up a little bit. These lines at the back, I've gave them a wee clean up and just a wee bit of paint where they were sort of rusting a little bit. And then obviously we're all hooked up to the UJ here. So the steering, other than hooking these lines up once the engine is back in, should be good to go. We'll need to put on tie rods and tie rod ends as well. You will notice as well, I've got new brake lines, so I ran all of these yesterday. Keeping the original ones along the top there to the master cylinder, but basically from this union, I've ran new ones right through. So yeah, not the neatest. I don't really have the tooling for nice straight brake pipes, but essentially in here they split off and that one goes out to the front. There's one split off here that goes out to the front as well. And then from here, a bit neater as they come along the chassis leg. We should get to the back here and they split off into the sort of brake compensator valve. So this is a replacement valve that I got from a van that was being broken. The valve does move nice and free. And I just gave it a quick spray of black just to neaten it up. And obviously I need to run these lines from here and then they come down and there's a flexi in here. Then from the flexi here, I'll need to run hard lines to this little bracket here, and then there's a little flexi here. So I've got the flexis on order, so just waiting for them to arrive. In terms of things at the back, obviously I've got the new lowering springs. These are 40mm lowering springs. I've got calipers here that just need a clean up. Just need to sort of paint the carriers and maybe re-grease the pins. But other than that, these calipers should be good to go. Obviously I need new discs and pads. These are the original discs that were still on the van, so they'll need replaced. I've got new bearings and new sort of hub faces in the back there as well. And then obviously I've cleaned up and sprayed these arms. And I've also got new shocks at the back. It came in a kit with the springs. So at the back, other than the sort of brake lines there, all that's left to do is fit the rest of the sort of mechanism for the load valve. So I need to somehow get these old clips off of these arms. I think they were left on when a previous owner got them powder coated, so we'll need to get them off. There's the little sort of plastic threaded bits that go into here, and then there's a sort of bar that runs along the top with the springs that hook up to here. So just need to clean all this up and hook all those things up, and we should be good to go. So yeah, the fuel tank will be one of the last things that gets bolted up. I still need to order new tank straps as well, because the last ones were completely snapped from rust. The tank itself just needs a good clean before we fire that on. Okay, so here's most of the stuff that's left to bolt up, certainly to the front of the van. So these are the sort of shock mount plates. These were in really bad shape actually, so I spent a bit of time cleaning those up. Now everything here that's been painted has been epoxy primed and then painted just to try and help it last a bit longer. I've got new bump stops coming for these as well, then they should be good to bolt up. Obviously the arms themselves. Now these are actually the arms that was on the original subframe that I took off the van. It turns out they are the same length as well, so there's no difference in the arms. But I'll quickly show you now why I'm not using the arms that I got on the replacement subframe. Right, so these are the arms that was on the sort of replacement subframe. And I actually stripped these down and started removing the bushes and stuff. Started to clean them up. And then I suddenly noticed that someone has actually modified these. Probably to have the shock sitting a bit lower. But they've basically just welded on these big sort of plates to lower the mounting point for the shock. But if you look at this one here, you can't really see the welding because of the snow. But if you look there, it's not even sitting straight. It's quite bent. And whether that's just from use of the van or whether they've just welded it on like that. But either way, I don't trust them. I'd rather just run the arm as it's intended to be. So for that reason, these are in the scrap bin. So yeah, that's why I'm running the original arms. Now these are a bit of a faff actually to get off. Anyone that's tried to change the bush on these arms will know that the one on the subframe with the eccentric camber bolt is an absolute nightmare, because the centre of the bush, unlike these poly bushes, the centre of the bush is alloy, And obviously you've got a mild steel bolt going through there, and the two dissimilar metals just fuse together. So it's an absolute nightmare. But yeah, other than the bushes, these arms are good to go. So I do have the larger bush that goes in here, but I am waiting for the correct size smaller bush here, because there's a few different sizes of these. I've accidentally ordered the wrong size, so I've reordered the right size, just waiting for that to arrive. And these are the original shocks that were on the van. As you can see, totally knackered. They'll be going in the scrap bin, but these long bolts where the drop links also hang on to, that sort of go through here, I'll be reusing them, which is why they're still here. Just need to clean those up. So we've got the tie rods. This was off the replacement subframe. These are actually okay, but I think I'm just going to put on new ones anyway, just for peace of mind. And it seems like a good time to do it. We've got the front knuckles. I stripped them down today, cleaned them up a fair bit, epoxy primed them and then sprayed them in black. The bearings seem okay. They're not making any funny noises or anything, so just going to keep the bearings in them. And obviously we've got the front discs. These are new, they've just been sitting for a while, so they'll clean up just fine. You can see the pads as well are new, there's plenty of meat on them. They've just been sitting a while. Same with the calipers. I think whoever had the replacement subframe before me has maybe done a bit of work on the brakes just before the van got broken for parts. So all this stuff should clean up fine. Like all the sliders move nice and free, so I'm just going to re-grease them before I put them on. It's the same with those ones there. The drive shafts, they look okay. You need a CV boot, an inner CV boot here, and probably a re-grease as well. But this one here seems fine, it just needs a clean up, maybe a bit of paint. And I've just got all the various bolts and stuff. I've just finished stripping and painting the front carriers as well. So they're just drying off just now. They should be good to go. And then this is the various components of the rear compensating valve. So this is the bar that the springs hook onto. Here's the springs here. And then these are the little clip things that I need to get off of the arms that are on the van just now and put these on instead. Then other than that, we are good to go. So yeah, that's pretty much where the van is at just now. Obviously I'll post another update video in due course once I get all this remaining stuff bolted up. But for now it's looking pretty good. As always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.